Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're diving into something a little different, an excerpt from a narrative piece called The Storm and the Silence. And it's one of those stories that, for a lot of people, it really lingers. Our mission today is basically to pull the story apart, look at the pieces, the techniques that make it so good at building up that suspense and, well, that fear. We want to get at the mechanics of how it works, how a story creates that chilling feeling without getting lost in absolutely every single detail.
Exactly. And this particular source, it throws us right into this young girl's terrifying experience. It's a fantastic example of how atmosphere and the psychological side of things can be incredibly powerful in a scary situation. It's not just what happens, it's about how the writing makes you feel it, almost physically.
Okay, let's get into it then. Starting with the setting, the storm itself. The way it's described, it pulls you right in. It says the rain starts like a whisper, which sounds almost gentle at first, but then boom, it ramps up fast, turns into a scream. Thunder like splintering wood, whined like a creature let loose. And we meet Mira, she's 11, in this little town, Black Hollow, surrounded by woods. She's just trying to get home, right? Her bus broke down. She takes a shortcut she knows through the forest. But the storm hits, and suddenly nothing looks familiar. The trees become strangers, and she realizes the path was gone. So how is the author using the environment here, right at the start, to build that dread?
Well, it's a really effective use of what you call pathetic fallacy. The storm mirrors her internal state, her fear.
Yeah.
And notice how the familiar just gets stripped away almost immediately. The path vanishing, the trees seeming different. That creates this powerful sense of isolation, disorientation. She's vulnerable right from the get-go. The woods, the storm, they're not just backdrop. They're actively working against her, almost like an antagonist itself.
That's a great point, the environment turning hostile. And then we get that first really chilling bit. There's this flash of lightning, just a brief second, and it lights everything up, and she sees a figure, not far off, standing between the trees, watching her. She gasps, it says, and poof, darkness returns, figure's gone, it's so quick. Why is that fleeting glimpse so effective in horror?
It taps straight into that really primal fear of the unknown, doesn't it?
Yeah.
By not giving you a clear look, by making it so brief, the story forces your imagination to do the heavy lifting.
Right.
Your brain fills in the gaps, and honestly, what you imagine is almost always worse, more personal than what could be shown explicitly. It creates that immediate uncertainty, that fear. Who was that? What do they want?
And things just get worse from there. The storm gets louder, angrier. You hear branches cracking, trees groaning. Mira starts running, trying to call for her parents, Mom, Dad. But her voice is just swallowed by the noise. Useless. Then this massive crack, a tree falls, just misses her, but it forces her off track, deeper into the woods. How does this, physical escalation ramp things up?
It's all about the escalating sensory input.
Yeah.
You hear it getting louder, angrier. The sounds become more violent, cracking, groaning.
Yeah.
From a whisper to a scream, distant thunder, to wood splintering right nearby. And combined with her losing the path, her world is literally shrinking and becoming more dangerous. The environment isn't just threatening anymore. It's actively, physically pushing her further away from safety, compounding that isolation.
So then she finds herself in this clearing she doesn't recognize. No lights, no paths, just trees all around like curious spectators, creepy image. She knows she's properly lost now. And then she hears it, a second set of footsteps. Slow, deliberate, squish, squish, through the mud. She asks, who's there? Silence. Another lightning flash. And there's the figure, closer. And the description, tall, too tall, thin. Head tilted slightly as if in curiosity, then gone again. Those footsteps, that posture, what makes that so disturbing?
The footsteps are brilliant. That squish, squish. It's such specific auditory detail. It's not just noise. It sets the pace. Slow, deliberate. It implies pursuit, but controlled, calculated pursuit.
Yeah.
Which is somehow worse than a panic chase.
Yeah, much creepier.
And the tilted head, that detail adds this layer of intelligence, or at least awareness, curiosity. It's not just some mindless monster. It's observing her, which is deeply unsettling, adds this predatory feel.
And the fear just keeps building. She backs up, she falls, and then sees movement in the shadows again. No. There were two of them now. It says she couldn't make out faces, just the outline of shoulders, long arms. And then this sound. The faint sound of something wet dragging across the ground. Okay, so two of them now. That's obviously scarier, but that dragging sound. Wow.
Absolutely. That wet, dragging sound is pure sensory horror. It's so visceral because it doesn't tell you what it is. It forces you to picture it. Something heavy, something broken,
Yeah.
unnatural, deformed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
apply something really grotesque without needing to show it. That, plus the fact that there are more of them now,
Right.
it just multiplies the dread and the mystery. What are these things?
So then the chase is really on, thunder right overhead. She screams, runs blindly, branches hitting her face. And the story mentions something snapped, a louder, more deliberate noise than just wind and rain. She feels like it is right behind her. Finally collapses, just whispering, "Please, someone find me." This feels like the point where it shifts from dread to just raw panic.
It absolutely does. This is visceral terror now.
Yeah.
Pure flight response.
Right.
The narrative really puts you in her shoes. Hear the sounds, that specific snap suggesting something close, her blind flight. The pace quickens, her options are running out. You feel that hunted feeling right along with her. It transfers the panic.
And maybe the cruelest part. She hears a sound, a voice, Mira. It sounds like her mom, but something's off. It's flat, cold, like an imitation. "Come here, Mira." She looks up and sees a woman stood at the edge of the clearing, arms outstretched, pale face, empty eyes. It wasn't her mother. Oof, using her mom's voice.
That's brutal. It's a devastating psychological blow, isn't it? It takes this ultimate symbol of comfort and safety, a parent's voice, and twists it into bait for a trap.
Yeah.
It's pure psychological betrayal. It tells Mira and us that nothing is safe, nothing can be trusted, and the description, pale face, empty eyes. It just amplifies that wrongness. This isn't just imitation. It's something hollow, dead, maybe.
Then the lightning flashes again, and the full picture is awful.
Okay.
The woman wasn't alone. More figures emerge from the trees, tall, silent, with limbs too long and faces too smooth. Yeah, just bolts, runs into the thickest part of the forest. Those descriptions, too long limbs, too smooth faces. Why are those specifically so unnerving?
They're designed that way. They tap directly into what we call the uncanny valley. That's the feeling of deep unease or revulsion you get when something looks almost human but just wrong. Enough deviation to signal danger or disease or just unnaturalness. The too long limbs, the too smooth faces, these are classic uncanny triggers.
Yeah.
It makes it clear these things are not human, and it makes them deeply disturbing on an instinctive level.
But then, finally, hope. She sees a light, a real light yellow, warm, flickering through the trees, a lantern. And here's a voice, a real voice, this time called her name, Mira, her dad. She screams back, runs to him, sees neighbors, flashlights, the search party. He yells, "I got her!" Wow, the relief must be overwhelming.
It's a massive release of tension, yeah. A real moment of narrative catharsis. That sudden switch from absolute terror to warmth, safety, her dad's voice. It's jarring in a good way. And that contrast actually highlights just how extreme the terror was before. The depth of the relief underscores the depth of the fear. It's essential after putting the character and the listener through so much.
And the aftermath is handled quickly. She's wrapped in a blanket, gets water, carried home. The storm fades out.
Yeah, it shows the immediate care, the physical recovery starting. Yeah, which is important. But notice it's brief. It doesn't linger too long on the comfort because the story isn't quite done with the unease. It hints that this isn't just wiped away. You know, there's trauma there.
Right, because then comes that final image, the one that just sticks. Because as they left the woods, the last crack of lightning lit up the trees one final time, and she saw them, lined up between the trunks, watching, not moving, waiting.
Ugh, yes, that ending. It's a masterstroke, really. Yeah. It provides that sense of rescue, but then yanks the rug out from under you one last time with this image of unresolved tension.
Completely.
The threat isn't defeated. It's paused. They're waiting. It leaves you with this chilling sense that it's not over. It implies this ongoing presence, this potential for return. It makes Mira's escape feel conditional, temporary, maybe.
So going through this piece by piece, you really see how all these elements work together. The atmosphere, the storm, those fleeting glimpses, the sounds, the escalating danger, the psychological tricks like the voice, and then the uncanny descriptions, all building layer by layer. It's not just one thing, it's the combination.
Precisely. It's a carefully constructed sequence using different narrative tools at different points to maximize that feeling of dread and suspense.
It really demonstrates how you can create a truly unsettling experience. Memorable, for sure.
Absolutely. And it leaves you, a listener, with that final thought to chew on. What does it really mean for those figures to be waiting? Is it literal? Metaphorical? Does it suggest they're always there, just out of sight? Or that they'll be back when the storm or something else is right? Think about how stories like this hook into those really deep primal fears we all have. Fear, the dark, the unknown, being lost, and what it means for